Hello everyone, Dino Don here again with the next update on the W.A.R Corsair project. As you can see, this week I've been working on the firewall, getting everything buttoned down on it so I can get the engine reinstalled. Alright, as you can see, I managed to get the stainless steel cut, fitted, attached. On the back side is the fire resistant blanket material. I ended up gluing it on the back side of this instead of the firewall. So now if I pull everything off, you can literally pull this off. It doesn't need it. But you can see I got all the screws in. Everything's fitted around nicely. I got the water nuts on here. And this is the positive battery terminal, negative battery terminal. You can see I got 2 screws for each bracket. There's 11 brackets total. Here's a fuel pump, fuel return to the tank. This is fuel pressure out. Comes down. You can see I got a quick drain on here to sump for water, and it's attached here onto this mount so it holds it. All I got left to do is get the blanket material stuck in here and a piece of stainless. What I had cut off of this it's not big enough to make these, so that's where it's at. And then as you can see, the throttle cable. Now this can be pulled in and out to where it needs to be because it's got to kind of come up like this to the angle of the throttle body. And once it's set, you tighten this collar down and that locks it in place. So, and then the only thing I got left to do, these have been blasted and cleaned, but I have to get some countersink 3/32 rivets to rivet the nut plates onto the back of here, 2 on each. So there's 5 holes had to be drilled in these things, and they were pretty tedious. As you can see, some of them had gotten pretty close to the edge just because of the way, I had things cut, the cowling made. But it's surprisingly, when this design, I didn't think too much of it being very strong for the cowling, but I can tell you this, when the cowl was on there and I put just slip bolts in there, that thing was rock solid. I mean, you couldn't flex it, move it. It is extremely strong, so pleased with that. Alright, so the next thing I did is I cut the cowling in half, and I got the hinges installed on the halfway seam. You can see the front of the seam there. This is where I'll need to lay up some fiberglass. Take basically I'll tape this off with some cellophane and lay up 3-4 strips of fiberglass cloth on this to overlap that, and then after that sets, there'll be at least 3 nut plates slipped over the lip of that, and then the screws will come through from the outside into it. So, because without that, it's still loose. So both sides are done, pop riveted in, and this is basically what it looks like from the outside. And once I get some paint mixed up for painting other parts of the plane, I'll dab some paint on these rivets. You can use countersinks, but this is only fiberglass, and I don't think the countersinks would hold up well, so I went with these instead. But it's pretty interesting to note that it's right on the line of dark blue to light blue. It's just worked out absolutely perfect. Now this can come off. Just leave it down there. Okay, the only thing left to do is the inside with the front, and these need to be countersunk. And I'll be getting some stainless steel countersink washers to go with the 1032 screws. Those will be countersunk. So that's what I managed to get done this week. I mean, I cut this out Friday night, and it's taken me all day yesterday and today. I had this all done yesterday, but today I spent all my time making these brackets. These are 90 thousandths thick, and I had to make, in order to bend those, I made me a little break basically. Took a piece of aluminum. If you ever need to make a V-block, this is just a scrap chunk of aluminum. I put my table saw, set the blade at a 45-degree angle, put the fence on there, and just run that through both ways, and kept changing the depth until I got it where I wanted. And then I just take this is what's left of that 3-foot piece of steel, put it on there, had line scribed on there, and I put some double-sided tape on there to hold them in place. First I took a bolt, put it on there, and I put it in my press and started the bend. And then I had this piece of tool stock for making lathe bits. I ground a little flat on the one edge. So once it was started to bend, just put that in there, pressed it in, and as you can see, it made perfect 90-degree bends out of those brackets. Worked really well. And then the time-consuming thing was drilling all these little suckers, and little guys, and they're all countersunk. Because this is the cowling sets against this, so these rivets have to be countersunk and squeezed from the backside. So that was one thing. And then I made this little tool here, which is what they call a strap duplicator. Kind of hard to see, but there's a hole in that. It's just a piece of steel I bent together, drilled a hole through it, and just stuffed a screw in there. And what that allowed me to do is stick the screw in the hole in the firewall, and then put the bracket on there, mark the bracket with a marker, take it back off, drill the hole, and then do the same thing for both. You just put that, pop that in the hole in the firewall, put your bracket in here in the middle, line up, and there you go. I had the cowling on. I started with the top one, hung the cowling, and then I worked my way around until I got them all done. Then I did the same thing with this, slipped it behind the firewall into the holes to drill the holes through the firewall. So you can buy these. They're like $7, $8 from Aircraft Spruce. But usually they have a hardened bushing here in the top to run the drill bit in. I'll be getting probably a couple of those later on when I do some work on that Cessna. But to get by, I didn't want to have to order one and wait. So, but they come rivet size specific, and this was made to fit these 1032 screws. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's what I got left for the hinge. And this hinge will be cut into two pieces for the doors, because I need to put a door here for the fuel or check the oil, and then a door on this side will be to check the water level. And like I said before, this is the water bottle, the high point of the radiator system, and being a high point, I think it's a little too high. So once that's on there, it's going to be really close to the cowling. Is going to be probably hitting it. So what I'll do is I'll just cut it off here. Maybe I'll cut like this much out of it, put it back there and weld it, and that'll tuck her down inside. And then I need a bracket on there to hold it in place, because under pressure it may probably pop off. So I'll get some kind of bracket on here. The motor mount comes through here, it clears fine. But I may have to make some kind of bracket to come in and tie it onto something so it won't come off. So it may not look like a lot for the week, but I can tell you that firewall took some time. I literally cut that whole thing out with just a pair of tin snips. It's only like 20 thousandths thick, so it didn't cut hard, but it cut slow. And then he had to go around and file it, sand it, deburr it real good, and drilling out all these holes to get all this stuff in there was pretty much a pain in the butt. So that's going to be the update, I guess, this week. Once I get into laying up some fiberglass, I'll get these, like you can see here. This is what I'm showing you. It's, there's no strength here, so you have to build up make a shelf in there, a ledge, and then there'll be some screws coming through, machine screws from the front side, from the outside. So that's where we're at. I was kind of hoping to get the wings out and start on the top of the wing, but I wanted to get all this stuff done. I got to order these rivets. These are little buck rivets, little squeeze rivets, and Aircraft Spruce sells them in quarter-pound increments, and there's like 1,000 rivets in a quarter pound, and I need 22 pieces. So go figure. Wix Aircraft, I think they sell down to 8 of a pound, which would still be, like 500 rivets. Like I say again, they're only 3/32, and they need to be quarter-inch grip, so when they're bucked to the correct length. So I guess I gotta still work on the canopy. Got to get the material for this, and while this is off, I'm going to go ahead and paint this flat black. I need to do some sanding on here, clear up that latch over there, but get that trimmed and sanded up, and paint this before I put the new windshield in. Have to clean up the bow and repaint them. before I can make the plexiglass for it. And then once I finish up around that windshield area, then I'll probably be ready to throw the instrument panel in. So I got a little bit of epoxy on a couple wires there. So I guess that's going to do it for now. Next weekend, well, I'm going to have to pull these back off. These are bare steel. I'll take them in the house during the week, and I will zinc plate them and give them a dark olive drab finish, kind of like this here. And then once I get some rivets, I'll buck them up, put them on, then the motor can go on. There's no reason I can't install the engine. So, trying to think if there's anything else I did. I think that's pretty much it. I did manage to, I took these bolts out, countersunk them so the screws would countersink into there, and then I got to order a couple of those backer nut plates to put on here, and they'll get riveted because this backer plate gets attached to the inside of the fuselage, and then this front piece bolts to it after it's in place. So I think that's all I got. So again, as always, feel free to ask leave any comments, questions, or concerns, and I will answer them as they come through. I see a lot of people have been posting questions about here and there, and I answer them as I go. I can't think of them offhand right now, but well, some people are asking about different things about the paint schemes and things like that. So if they haven't seen the older ones, they're kind of redundant questions after a while, but I try to answer them best I can when they come through. So that's going to be it for this time, guys, and hopefully next weekend I'll have more to report. Maybe I can get on the wings. I do need to order another gallon of epoxy. I probably have enough to do the micro balloons on the wings, maybe the epoxy wipe, but when it comes to fiberglassing up all the controls back here in the back, you know, all the flight controls, the flaps, elevators, rudders, ailerons, they all have to be wrapped in 2 layers of fiberglass cloth. I'll definitely run out of epoxy for that, but another gallon I should be able to finish everything up, and then that should be good. Alright folks, stay tuned. I'll be back next week, I'm sure, with the next update. Alright, this is Dino Don out. Thanks for watching.